Hey guys, welcome back to Doc Lil Talks Comics, and this is the video where we talk about my haul for this week. I can't believe that we're well over 100 hauls on these videos, guys, and I can't thank you enough for the support that you've given me here. This is kind of an outlet for everyday frustrations and gives me a chance to talk about these comics that we all know and love so very much. So, why don't we go ahead and get started, because I've got kind of a big week this week. All right, and the book of the week, you should have seen it coming, is the Sacrificers, issue number 21. And this is written by Rick Remender with art by Max Fumara and colors by Dave McCaig. And this is It Will Always Be the Same, part 6 of 6. And we have Beatrice leading the fight, taking the fight to her brother. She has seen so much that Pigeon has wrought. And in the end, Pigeon only wanted to do good. He saw that the old gods, Saluna's father and uncles, wanted to sacrifice people, to take their energy and renew it through systems, to keep the sun going, the moon going, the tides correct. It took all of these sacrifices. And Pigeon didn't want to be a sacrificial bird. So he fought against what he thought was unrighteousness. And in the end, he created this world with his wife. He created 2 children that he loved more than anything in the world. And he told his wife in the last issue that he didn't want them to have to sacrifice of themselves like others had given. He wanted them to have an easy life. He wanted to live with his wife and be prosperous, and for the world to be prosperous. But he didn't want his children or his wife or himself to have to give up their lives, their energy, in order to make it better for everybody else. Sometimes that's a hard lesson to learn, because we can't hear the voice of reason and the voice of goodness, because we won't shut up long enough to let that other voice come in. Instead, we only think that we're right, and we only see the good that we feel like we have done. And if others are angry or confused or, in our eyes, unappreciative of those things that we've done, then we think that they're the enemy. And that's not always true. Matter of fact, 95% of the time, that's not true. So Beatrice is leading this attack, and Saluna is very ill. She has taken on some sort of rot from the inside. It's a cancerous rot. And she looks at her 2 boys and she says, "My beautiful boys, remember this one thing. Above all else, love is enough to heal any broken world." And she reaches out to them to give them this necklace that she was wearing that has a picture of Pigeon and the 2 boys and Saluna in better times. And they're all smiling. Meanwhile, Pigeon decides that it will always be the same. And in order for his wife to live, someone will have to give up something and sacrifice something. So they've created this machine that will take the life energy from these people in order to give his wife life again. And his mage comes up to him and says, "This is enough to save the queen, and more should you choose to go that route." Instead, he runs back to his wife. He sees that she's expired. and he goes to pour it down her throat. And she doesn't wake up. So he pours it even more. And finally, in frustration, he says, "Drink, drink, damn you. Wake up." But she doesn't wake up. She's gone, expired by that blackness inside of her, the one that threatened to eat her up, and it did. And in the end, you see Pigeon wailing at his wife's bedside. And it says, "Throughout my life, I've been told that my perspective is morose. Everything is viewed through a negative lens. Every day wasted grieving tomorrow's inevitable ruin. So many people along the way have all given me the same unsolicited advice. Slow down, be present, stay optimistic." This book shows that everything always remains the same. And in the end, that there must always be a sacrifice from yourself, from someone else, so that the totality of humanity may live. That's one of the most deep and resonating final issues of any book I've ever read. And I will miss it greatly. I'm going to talk about this more in a separate video, but this is finally Rick Veitch's first of 4 issues. And this is Swamp Thing 1989, Part 1, with writing by Rick Veitch, art by Michael Zully, and inks by Vince Locke, colors by Trish Mulvihill. And you get to see Swamp Thing meet a very important character in life. One who, like Martin Luther King Jr., had a message of peace, a message of salvation. And at the time, in 1989, when the book was to be originally published, it was too controversial. The cover was too controversial, everything about it. But we'll talk about this more in an upcoming video. It's not going to be an initial assessment video. It's going to be its own thing. But this is the first cover that I picked up for the book. And this is the variant cover by Michael Zully, who's unfortunately no longer with us. So look forward to this video coming up very, very soon. So the second best book of this week, and also a final issue, is Skinbreaker, issue number 8, written by Robert Kirkman with art by David Finch. This is, again, as I have said multiple times, a masterclass of the mixture of writing and art. A lot of people might think that I'm being hyperbolic or taking it too far, but to me this stands with Fantastic Four by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby as some of the best symbiosis between the writing and the artwork. And you get to see this amazing coloring in this book. It's absolutely fabulous, guys. It is one of the most beautiful books on the shelf. And the colorist is Annalisa Leone, and she did an amazing job. Annalisa, thank you so much for taking the time to pull the hues out of the skies, to set the tone as much as with pencil and ink for Dave Finch. You set the backdrop for those amazing pencils. And you get to see the old chieftain. And he says, I'm going to sacrifice myself in order to try to teach these creatures a different way. We've been killing each other. They've killed us. We've killed them. We've gone back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and nothing has ever changed. I'm going to try to show them a different way. He says, we've been killing their kind for as long as we have shared these lands. Maybe they have grown smarter over time, or maybe they always were. We need to show them that we can find another way. We have both lost so many, maybe this can be the end of it. And in the end, the creature walks away rather than taking the sacrifice that the old chieftain is trying to give him. And you do see that the one who was trying to challenge the chieftain lost his life to these beasts. And in the end, there's a ceremony that honors the younger co-chieftain, we'll say, honors his father. And the old chieftain comes to that ceremony and leaves a stone, which is a sign of respect. And the younger man says, you honor my father with a stone after everything that you both went through? How my father treated you? And the chieftain says he believed that strength should rule, and he clung to the old ways. We survived because strength worked together with wisdom. We survived because you embraced a new way. Your father was a dangerous man, but he made you. And I honor him for that. And again, you get to see the just raw emotion in these characters. A lot of people have said that this book was very simplistic in its storyline, in what it's trying to teach you. I think it's got so many layers that I'm going to refer to this book as an onion, because even though there may not be a bunch of dialogue boxes, narration boxes, thought balloons to let you know everything that's going on, a lot of times people have said that as comic creators get older, then they simplify their lines, because they realize that even though cross-hatching looks really great on somebody's sternum and diaphragm right here, then they also understand that with fewer lines they can make a more realistic figure. So sometimes it's not what's said. Sometimes you have to let the art breathe, and you have to let the art help to tell your story that you could never hope to tell with words. And I think the art did an amazing job on this book. So Robert Kirkman and company, David Finch, Annalisa Leone, Russ Wooten, and everybody else that was involved in Skinbreaker, thank you. These are some really, really amazing issues, and I look forward to going back and flipping through these books in years to come. This was kind of a quick one, but it also carried an emotional punch, much like a lot of the books that came out this week. This is the Rocketeer IDW Classics, and it starts off, of course, with a story and art by Dave Stevens showing a Rocketeer, Cliff Secord, and he's trying to find a way to get, let's see, Malcolm is out cold and Malcolm is flying a stunt plane, and so he finally pulls him loose, but they crash into a water tower, and in the end you get to see that his rocket has run out of juice, and he goes to crash into these boxes, and that's where the Dave Stevens story ends. But then you get a story called Work to Do, with a script by Tom Taylor and art and letters by Colin Wilson, and it kind of picks up from there. And his girlfriend Betty, she says, "Cliff Secord, do you have any idea what time it is?" And he says, "I don't wear a watch in my dreams, Betty." And she says, "That's just lazy, and you're not dreaming right now." And so she opens the curtains, and it was a dream because he's laying there, damaged and busted up. And he sees these war machines, something out of almost like Star Wars, that is destroying the city. And here's where the story really hits its emotional beat. He picks up a guy named Nathan, and Nathan says, I know you have to go fight that thing, but please don't leave me here. And he says, what's your name, son? And he says, Nathan. I can't walk, but please, I can't die here. I have a girl back home. And he says, is everything okay? And Nathan says, I don't feel right. He says, well, you are being carried through the air by a flying man. And they go back and forth on this page right here with conversation, kind of a call and response type of thing. And in the end, Nathan says, I'm cold. And of course you're cold. It's freezing up here. Yeah, but the girl I've got back home, yeah, she doesn't know that she's my girl. But you tell her when you see her, you hear? He says, I'm scared. And Cliff says, you just faced a giant metal monster and you're scared of a girl? I'm not scared of... Do you have a girl back home? Yes. Are you scared of her? I'm terrified. And then Nathan's gone. That's the last thing that he says. And Cliff says, if I fly above the storm, I can't tell where I am. I'm happy here, and I'm not ready to let go. And it kind of reminded me of that episode of House where he was on a bus, and he was seeing all of these different characters, and he was trying to piece it all together. He was trying to remember. He's like, I don't remember who I met on the bus. I don't remember who I was talking to. I don't remember why I was on the bus. And the bus had a wreck. And so House is trying to put all of his scattered brains and thoughts and all of that back together, trying to remember through all of the concussion damage. And in the end, it was Amber. It was Wilson's girlfriend. And she was on the bus with him in this dream sequence. And she pretty much asked, why do you have to be an a-hole? He says, because I'm scared. And because I don't want people to see my weakness. And she said, you have to get off the bus. And his response has reverberated through my brain and through my heart for years. He said, I don't want to get off the bus because it doesn't hurt here. And you have to sit there and you have to think about that. He has chronic pain in his leg that he has to take Vicodin for and just pops them like Pez candy. He's tired of fighting. He's tired of trying to make the world better for everybody else at the expense of who he is. He's disappearing, much like the Invisible Man, into his own skin, into his job, into his supposed relationship with Cuddy. All of these things are making his onion get carved away one slice at a time. And soon he won't have anything left to give. And that's always resonated with me. I don't want to get off the bus because it doesn't hurt here. And that's kind of what I feel like that Tom Taylor story was saying. If I go above the clouds, I'll forget where I'm at and I'll lose sight of my objective. I won't know whether I'm supposed to dive, climb higher, move to the left, move to the right. I won't know where I'm at in relation to the objective that I am trying to fulfill. And that's how life is you go through life and you're trying not to fly above the clouds, to lose sight of the ones that you love, of all of the work and the stress and all of the things that go into what living is. The bills. How could I forget about the bills? Death and taxes, folks, and bills. I say it all the time. But you go through this, and sometimes you just don't want to get off the bus. So that was an amazing story and an amazing book, and I'm glad that I picked that up. By the way, if you see it at your local shop, it's only $1.99, and it's got at least one more story in there. But that first two were the two stories that really emotionally gut punched me. All right, what else do we have here? We're getting towards the end. We have White Sky, issue number 3. And I have to say, this is not the book that I thought it was going to be. I thought this was going to be another breakout success like The Walking Dead. And William Harms and J.P. Mavinga and Leela Aldridge and Ed Dukeshire, who's the letterer, have created something totally different. We get spooks. We get ghosts instead of getting zombies. And there's Walter, there's Victoria, there's all of these pieces together, and then there's this Victoria's father and this character here. So you don't really have that many characters to keep up with. It's moving at kind of a snail's pace. It's not terrible, and the story's not terrible, but it just doesn't have that same kind of emotional gut punch that Walking Dead had. But these two guys are in this cell, and the father says, let's see, the younger guy says, a lot of people want salt. Cities, towns, whatever's left, they'll pay about anything. And the father's, and he says, heavy equipment's hard to come by, so they use people like us. The father says, how do you know all this? Until a week ago, I was on the other side of these bars, the guy says. Oh, you must have really effed up, he said. Oh, I did more than that. Anyway, here I sit. They'll ship us out in a few days. They'll probably crack my legs and use me as bait. It's the best way to get the ghosts and the other things to show themselves. And the father says, things? He says, oh yeah, the big ones that change the weather and stuff. He said, I thought they just kind of roamed around. No, not all of them. Some actively hunt. So you're getting to know more about the father. You're getting to know more about Victoria. You're getting to know about Walter. All these things are coming together. It's just kind of, it's like having a 250-piece puzzle, and then you go back and you split that image up and it turns into a 75,000-piece puzzle. That's kind of a tough one to do. So, it takes a lot longer to get there. So I'm going to keep reading this book. I enjoyed it. I just didn't love it like I thought I would. But decent, not great. All right. And the last book that I'm going to talk about very shortly, because I'll have to go back and reread the rest of the issues. Dust to Dust, issue number 8 by Phil Bram and J.G. Jones. This continues and concludes for now the story of New Hope during the Dust Bowl. You get to see Wesley Dodds, the Sandman. No, not quite. But I have a feeling that he, J.G. Jones definitely brought a lot of character from the Sandman into this character of, can't tell you who that is. It's a mystery. But this story about the Dust Bowl is really a period piece. It's really on point, and it's really a lot of fun. So if you didn't get a chance to check this out, check it out when it comes out in trade. It's 8 issues long, so it's probably a little bit thicker trade, but the sepia tone colors are definitely worth the price of admission. All right, guys, and to finish this up tonight, 2 books for other videos that are coming is A Greatest Hits with Batman, The Dark Knight Returns, issue number 3 of 4. And the last book that is coming up is I ended up picking up Amazing Spider-Man Spider-Versity, issue number 1, which is written by Jordan Morris and Joe Kelly with art by Pere Perez. And that's coming up in a separate video as well. So thank you guys for joining me for yet another video and another week of these wonderful videos. I hope you like this stuff, the deep dives, the thought-provoking conversations that we can have about these books that we love so much. If you do, like and subscribe to the channel. I would love for you to become part of this community. And in the meantime, I hope you picked up everything that you wanted at the shop. Have a wonderful Wednesday, and I will catch you guys later on.